Welcome to Campaign Chronicles, a look at all the very latest from the French presidential campaign trail. Now we begin this week with Des Paroles et des Actes, a weekly French television show featuring in-depth interviews with politicians. This week's lineup: Prime Minister François Fillon, Nicolas Sarkozy's right-hand man. France's president still hasn't declared himself a candidate for the spring presidential poll. Monsieur Fillon therefore found himself playing a delicate balancing act of defending Mr. Sarkozy's time in office without offering a political platform for the future.
He's on his way to becoming France's only prime minister that's ever survived an entire presidential term. Accompanied by a large number of his ministers, François Fillon defended his time in office. But he also admitted to his interviewer he hadn't always been successful, that he'd even made mistakes.
Of course, there were hopes we didn't live up to. Of course, the crisis interrupted a number of reforms we were planning on implementing. But I don't think anyone can accuse us of not doing enough during this 5-year term.
The leader of France's Socialist Party, Martine Aubry, came on the show. She asked Fillon a few questions. For the most part, they concerned economic technicalities. But Aubry also attacked the Prime Minister for going along with President Nicolas Sarkozy's immigration policy.
I just want to ask you a question. When France was singled out for the Dakar speech that humiliated Africa, when we were singled out, including by the Pope, for the Grenoble speech that stigmatized foreigners, especially the Roma, where were you?
Fillon replied he had approved those policies. The Prime Minister will leave office in May. He said he hoped to run for the Parliament's Paris seat and reserved the right to run in the 2014 local elections. But for now, Fillon told viewers his only goal is to help his party win the upcoming presidential elections.
Well, for a closer look at what's happening on the French presidential campaign trail, I'm joined for Campaign Chronicles by Florence Villeminot. Florence, in that debate, François Fillon didn't confirm Nicolas Sarkozy's candidacy. So we find ourselves in this strange position, don't we, where we aren't quite talking about what we will be talking about as soon as he has announced it.
Absolutely. That still remains to be seen. It's the big question. And a lot of the French media, is still wondering, is he going to run? When is he going to say he's going to run? The French media was very, eager to depict the debate that happened last night. We're going to start by looking at Le Figaro, which says that it was a pretty soft debate between Martine Aubry and François Fillon. So, kind of like a deputies debate, le débat des seconds, as they called it. Kind of a vice presidential debate, but except for, not quite the same thing because we don't know if Sarkozy's running or not. But according to Le Figaro, the gloves didn't really come off. There weren't any big ideologies that were laying on the table. It wasn't really a battle of ideas. It was a battle of figures, facts and figures. According to Le Figaro, it was a very technocratic debate. It was polite in a constructive and compromising way, but it wasn't, it had been built up to be this big duel, and in the end, it didn't really happen. It was more of a draw, as we saw in that news package. Both ended with smiles on their faces.
Now, the French press is also focusing on the ambitions of the two debaters themselves.
Yes, we're going to start by looking at Le Parisien, which says that Martine Aubry could be a good contender to be a prime minister if François Hollande is elected. According to Le Parisien, she's been keeping quiet on this issue. She says that her main priority is to make sure that the Socialist Party wins the election. But according to the article, close aides of hers have said that she's on her own campaign trail. She's eager to, make sure that she's going to get that role as prime minister. And according to Le Parisien, she would be an ideal candidate because she has good experience, she's a woman, and so far she hasn't made any political gaffes. So that remains to be seen, though.
Well, this definitely to her credit, then.
And François Fillon also, he's featured in Le Figaro. Now, he's profiled there. They say that he's been a loyal supporter of Nicolas Sarkozy, even though he kind of had a turbulent relationship with him at the beginning of Nicolas Sarkozy's presidency. But now he's, kind of fallen into the ranks. He's become what they call a good soldier that takes on the responsibilities of having a tough job that often means that he's the bearer of bad news. And sometimes this can be, I guess, reflected in the polls, like Les Echos. They have a poll. Their latest poll says that the Prime Minister is down 6 points and only has a 35% approval rating.
Now, finally, Florence, in France, of course, during the presidential campaign, channels like our own have to be very careful about how much airtime they give to each candidate. Something of a headache.
Libération says that it's a nightmare. Now, starting on March 20th, TV and radio have to give equal broadcast time to all the candidates. So 1 minute for Hollande means 1 minute for Le Pen. It's good for small candidates because it means they get a lot of airtime.
Florence Vimino, I hope you'll be staying with us and returning indeed next Friday to bring us all the very latest from that. In just a couple of minutes, all the very latest international headlines. Do stay with us.